Let's take one more example on finding domain and asymptotes. Asymptotes means horizontal and vertical asymptotes of a function. Okay, here the function f of x is x cubed minus 9x divided by x squared minus 5x minus 6. Okay, so first of all, let's find out the domain. So to find out the domain, what we do is we solve the denominator. Okay, so you do x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals to 0. So to solve it, there are two ways. If you can get the factors, that will be shorter. If you cannot get factors, you can always use quadratic formula, since this is a quadratic equation, right? But for this problem, it is easy to get the factors, so you can write x and then write the parentheses. So we need two numbers whose product is negative 6, whose sum is negative 5. Again, product is negative 6, sum is negative 5. What are those? It will be negative 6 and positive 1, right? If you find the product, it will be negative 6. If you add them, then you will get negative 5. So what are the roots? What are the solution here? So if you do x minus 6 equals to 0, add 6 on both sides, you will get x equals to 6, right? And then if you do x plus 1 equals to 0, then what do you get? Subtract 1, so you will get x equals to negative 1. So the domain is all real numbers except 6 and negative 1, right? So the domain is basically domain is all x such that x is not equals to 6 and negative 1. So you write 6 and negative 1 here. So it is negative 1 and then 6. So the domain is everything left to negative 1 is okay, everything in the middle is okay, everything on the right is okay. So all x except negative 1 and 6. So how do you write that? It will be negative infinity to negative 1 union negative 1 through 6 and then u and then 6 through infinity. This means all the real numbers except negative 1 and 6. Okay, this is the domain. Now we want to find the asymptotes. So first of all, we try to find the vertical asymptote. So how do you find the vertical asymptote here? So to find out the vertical asymptote, so what you do is you try to write the function in the lowest term, meaning that you get the factors of the top, you get the factors of the bottom, and then if there are anything common, you cancel that and then write the lowest term. If there is no common, that will be already in the factor lowest term, right? So you have f of x equals to is there anything common on the top? So yes, there is x. Factor out, what do you get? You'll get x squared minus 9 divided by, what are the factors of the denominator? We got x minus 6 and then x plus 1. Can you further factorize the numerator? Yes. So it will be x plus 3, x minus 3, because it is like x squared plus 0x minus 9. We need two numbers whose product is negative 9 and sum is 0. Those are plus 3 and minus 3. And the bottom is x minus 6, x plus 1. Is there anything common? No, right? So this is the lowest term. So after you get the lowest term, you solve the denominator for x, and whatever you get is the vertical asymptote. So you do x minus 6 and then x plus 1 equals to 0. So if you take x minus 6 equals to 0, then you get x equals to 6. And if you do x plus 1 equals to 0, you subtract 1, you will get x equals to negative 1. So these are the vertical asymptote. Okay, this is how we find the vertical asymptote. So the next we try to find out horizontal asymptote or vertical asymptote. Okay, to find out that, first of all we decide what type of asymptote is there. So what is the degree of the top? 3. Degree of the bottom is 2, right? So the degree of the top is 1 more than the degree of the bottom, right? So it has oblique asymptote, right? How do we find the oblique asymptote? So we write y equals to, you divide the top by the bottom, and whatever quotient you get, that is y equals to that quotient will be the oblique asymptote, right? So let's divide. So you are dividing x cubed minus 9x by x squared minus 5x minus 6. Okay, so first we'll divide x cubed by x squared, the highest degree term by highest degree term there. What do you get? So you do x cubed by x squared. So this is like x times x times x, and then this is like x times x, right? So you cancel those x and x, so what is left is just x. So x, this multiply this quotient with each of those terms and write down here. x times x squared is x cubed, x times negative 5x is negative 5x squared, and x times negative 6x is negative 6x. You subtract. Okay, when you subtract, you change the sign. So subtract means change the sign. You cancel those plus x cubed and minus x cubed. So what is left is plus 5x squared, and then what? Then you got negative 9x plus 6x, right? So it will be negative 3x. So what is the degree of this? 2. Degree of this is 2 again, right? So you can still divide. So next thing we do is divide 5x squared by x squared. What do you get? So basically you divide 5x squared by x squared. Cancel x squared and x squared is just 5. So you write plus 5 there, right? Now you multiply that 5 with each of those. What do you get? You get 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times negative 5x is negative 25x. And 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Okay? So what you get here is subtract. And this is minus, that will be plus, that will be plus. When you subtract, you always change the sign. Okay? So cancel that. Plus 25x minus 3x. Once you change the sign, the new sign will work, and the old sign is old, so it is outdated. We don't care that old sign. Okay? So plus 25 minus 3x is 22x, and then plus 30. That's the remainder. It is less than the degree of this is less than the degree of that. So we stop dividing. So what is the quotient? So our oblique asymptote will be y equals to the quotient x plus 5. So this is how we find the oblique asymptote. Again, the final thing is sometimes if the degree of the top is bigger than degree of the bottom by more than 1, there is no horizontal asymptote, there is no oblique asymptote. One more time. If the degree of the top is bigger than the degree of the bottom by more than 1, there is no oblique asymptote, there is no horizontal asymptote. Okay, thank you guys.